When Ford took over Aston Martin in 1987, their ambition was to elevate the then small but exclusive car firm to the level of a Ferrari.
I mean, what Ford did is they took over Aston Martin, they put money into research, they put money into design, and they really brought it back to what it should have been. I mean, now you've got the DB9, you've got the Vanquish, they're both fantastic, iconic cars in the Aston Martin style.
The DB7 was the car that saved Aston Martin, a car for the rich rather than the super rich, and a car Aston had to build rather than wanted to build. Because the car that Aston Martin wanted to build, they'd have to wait for at least 10 years. The DB7 was a huge success, and the company was safely in profit when the Project Vantage concept car was unveiled at the Detroit Motor Show in 1998.
When Ford took over Aston Martin, they really needed to show the world that the company could be what it should be, and Project Vantage did that. It was a 550 brake horsepower show car, and basically they built it to wow the world, and wow the world it did.
Due to the ecstatic reception, Aston Martin had no choice but to give Project Vantage the production green light. 3 years later, in March 2001, under the glamorous lights of the Geneva Motor Show, Aston Martin unveiled the Vanquish.
It's steeped in heritage. It's unique to look at. Its performance is second to none. And everybody, at some point in life, I would imagine, would want to own and drive an Aston Martin motor car.
Looking nearly identical to the Project Vantage, the Vanquish is in fact 5.9 inches narrower than the concept car. Under that long, aggressive nose sits a 6-litre V12 tuned to 460 brake horsepower, enough for the Vanquish to reach 60 miles an hour in 4.8 seconds and at top speed of 196 miles an hour. Now, cynics may say that the Vanquish's engine began as two Mondeo V6s welded together, but they soon shut up when they hear the exhaust note.
I think if I was spending thousands and thousands of pounds on an Aston Martin and I found a switch that looked like something from a Ford, I may be a little bit put out.
The car to drive is an experience that once you've done it, you will just definitely never forget the car. The first time that I ever sort of drove the vehicle, I was sort of in shock for about 10 minutes after I came out the car. It's just an experience that once in a lifetime that, even for myself at the time, that I think if anybody drives the car, that they just want to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it.
The Vanquish was also a massive leap in the technology stakes for Aston Martin. The body panels aren't welded together but glued. The advantages are that the car is not only lighter but also stiffer. And you don't change gear with a traditional gear stick. Vanquish drivers change gear with paddle shifts, just like a Formula One car.
I mean, the whole concept between a GT car is you can jump in it, you can drive to the south of France, stop just for petrol and then have a bottle of wine when you get there and feel great. And Aston Martin do that so well because all their cars are bespoke. They've put the money into the tuning, they've put the money into the handling. And, at the end of the day, Aston Martin aren't building supercharged performance cars in the same sort of vein as Ferrari. They're building cars that are just fantastic and great to drive, as well as having the performance to match it.
So the Vanquish may not be the leanest of sporting cars, but then few Astons have been. It's good for us all. Aston Martin is prosperous once again, and that they still make cars like the Vanquish, and it's so high in your chart of the 100 most popular cars.